Hello and welcome to Between the Books. My name is Isadora.
And my name is Shannon.
And today we're going to be talking about The Unicorn Hunters by Katherine Arden, which is extra exciting because we actually have an ARC. So this book is not out yet. ARC means Advanced Reader's Copy that we got when we went to Emerald City Comic Con. The book's coming out June 2nd, so pretty soon. So listen up to our thoughts and see if you want to read this when it comes out.
Yeah, we're going to open with non-spoilers. And then, as always, we're going to talk about our activity that we did based on this book, which was we did our own paintings of unicorns. And then we're going to jump into spoilers. So we'll let you know ahead of time when we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, but before all that, Shannon, what are you currently reading?
I have something really exciting to share with everyone, which is that I was approved for an ARC of Daggerbound by T. Kingfisher. And I'm very excited. If you have spent any amount of time with this podcast, you will know that I'm a pretty big T. Kingfisher fan. And I'm really excited for Daggerbound because this is a really anticipated book. I don't know if I've told you this.
Yeah, you mentioned, yeah.
Yeah. So this book is a sequel to Swordheart. And Swordheart came out a while ago. And then she wrote like 4 books in between Swordheart and Daggerbound because she... But Daggerbound's finally coming out later this year, but I was approved for an ARC for it, so I'm reading it right now, and you guys are going to hear all my thoughts about it when I'm done. I'm super excited.
Oh, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Isadora, what are you currently reading?
So I also have something exciting for me, which is, if you listen to our last episode that we talked about like series that we were obsessed with as a child.
Oh, right.
So one of the series that I talked about was the House of Night series by PC Cast and Kristen Cast. And I mentioned that like it was a book series that I never talked to anyone about. And when I like went to college and stuff, I met someone who's now like one of my best friends that had read the books. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And she literally... The episode wasn't even out yet, guys. She didn't even know I talked about this. She messaged me and she's like, I think I'm going to start rereading The House of Night. And I'm like, shut up. So she started reading it. I was still reading The Unicorn Hunters, but then I was like, you know what, I'm joining you. So now we keep like messaging each other about it. I finished Marked, which is the first book, and now I'm reading the second book, which is Betrayed. And it's so like, I don't think maybe if you're like an adult and you're reading it for the first time, you probably wouldn't enjoy it as much because it does get like quite cringy and the writing is interesting, but I still love the world building so much. I do think the world building is amazing and it's still nostalgic for me. So it's really exciting. So this one is about, I'm not going to explain too in detail if you want to listen to our previous podcast, but it's basically about vampires, but it's a very different style of vampire than we usually see, and they have like a whole religion and a goddess and everything, and there's a school called the House of Night, and the main character gets turned and she has to attend the school, and it's really good. So it's very exciting for me. But yeah, and I have another exciting thing to talk about.
Oh my god.
So if you listen to our Starving Saints episode, when we were talking about activities, a big part of that book was honey and just like the consumption of honey, and just like they talked about it a lot. So that was one of the activities that we talked about doing, and I mentioned that I hadn't eaten honey in a long time and that I wanted to like start eating it again because it's so good. And I actually went to Chile. That's why we are a little late on the podcast. So like it didn't come out in the usual time. But I went to Chile, and Chile is very, very well known for their honey. And I don't know if you know this, but unfortunately you can't bring honey to a different country, so I had to just eat
That makes sense.
Yeah. But I had most famously in my family, we know about miel de humo, which is almost like a flower. And so the bees are raised. I don't know. They're like, they're around this flower. So then the honey has a special different taste. So I had that, which was really good. And I also had miel de humo ice cream. Oh. And that was really good too. Actually, honey ice cream slaps. So I recommend.
I have had it.
Ooh.
Because there is an ice cream shop near to us that has like kind of funky flavors. And one of them is balsamic honey.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah,
okay.
But it's pretty good.
I want that now because honey's so good. Anyways, just wanted to give you an update on my honey journey. Stay tuned for more.
Stay tuned for more.
What is she going to try next? But yeah, Shannon, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Unicorn Hunters?
In an effort to save her throne, Anne of Brittany tricks the King of France into a unicorn hunt, while she plots to marry France's greatest rival. However, when an actual unicorn appears, as well as a mysterious stranger, Anne's life is thrown into chaos and magic.
If you guys know already, we've read The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden recently. And we had we didn't love it, but we didn't hate it. It
was definitely a mixed success kind of book. It was a kind of middle of the road kind of book for me.
Yeah, and I think that was her first book, so I think she's written quite a few other ones since then. So it's nice seeing like the progress and everything. And I think two key things that this book takes from that too is just like the folklore / mythology / magic of it all, and then also just her writing is still very like, how do you describe her writing? It's just very classic almost, or just like very pretty writing.
Yeah.
Like it almost makes me feel like I'm reading an old book. I think she writes it with very good, like, you know what I mean? Like a classic book, you know what I mean? She doesn't write with like very modern language. I guess that makes sense because it takes place in
like medieval Europe.
But it's still, I don't know. I like how she writes.
Yeah, it definitely matches the time period. In fact, I think it's interesting that you brought up Bear and the Nightingale, because I actually think Bear and the Nightingale was in more like fairy tale than this book.
Yeah, and this one was more medieval.
And this one was more medieval. And I think it's really interesting to see Katherine Arden match different time periods to her writing. Well, I don't know. I actually don't know when Bear and the Nightingale took place, but
I think it was like the 1500s or something.
Yeah, so maybe so just different areas and like and drawing
areas
upon different inspirations.
Yes.
And I think it's reflected in her writing. And I like that it's different than the way that she wrote Bear and the Nightingale.
Yeah. Shannon, what were your like overall thoughts?
Yeah, I like this more than Bear and the Nightingale.
Yeah.
My main issue I had with Bear and the Nightingale overall is that it felt very much like a first book in a series.
Yeah.
It was a lot of setup. And this book is a standalone book as far as I know. And I liked seeing the way that she kind of like wrote an ending.
Yeah.
I also think I really like historical fiction. I think when I was reading this, I didn't realize, this might sound silly, knowing that it takes place in 14th century medieval Europe with Anne of Brittany, who was an actual person in real life, even though this is a very different take on how she actually lived her life. But I was like, oh, I didn't realize how historical it would be.
Yeah.
And definitely in the first half of the book, it feels more like political.
Yes.
And very much rooted in Brittany. In latter parts, it gets kind of more fantastical, kind of in the way Bear and the Nightingale did.
Yeah. It's funny because I just didn't do any research until like I was almost done with the book. And like, honestly, this might sound dumb of me to say, but I did not want to know what Brittany was. I was like, is that like a part of Britain, like Great Britain? And but then they were talking about how France was so close. And I'm like, I don't know, this isn't really matching up, like bordered wise and stuff. And so I finally Googled it. So I do recommend you reading a little bit about like what it's inspired. I think she actually has at the end of the book, and actually before we fully dive into this, because this is an arc, it might change a little bit to the final published version. So if we say anything, then when you read it, you're like, wait, that wasn't in there. I don't know, guys. That wasn't us.
They changed it.
We're not lying. It's in there currently in the arc. But yeah, so at the end of the book, she actually has a little like explanation, and I don't think it really I don't know. Do you think it spoils stuff?
I don't think it spoils anything.
I wish I had read that first, because then when I finally read that, I was like, wait, I actually appreciate this book so much more. Thinking of the idea of like Anne of Brittany was a real person and she went through these things, and this is just like giving her a different story, which kind of reminds me of remember when I told you about the TV show My Lady Jane?
Yes.
Yeah, and which is also a book. That's kind of like that too. I actually really appreciate getting someone, especially from the past, who had like a not so great maybe ending or like part of their life, and then changing that historically and like giving them more power and giving them like a fantastical setting. I really like that idea.
Yeah. And so I'm starting to like this genre of book where it's like medieval, not even medieval, but it's like historical fiction, but there are elements that are fantastical. Like she comes up with this idea of diviners, who are like, they do have magic in this world, but it's very specific kind of magic. And one of them is divination magic. So they have these diviners that can like ask questions and call upon different things. But depending on what the question is, they get more like vague answers. But they realized that they're able to discern color very well.
Yeah.
So you actually use the diviners to send messages across like great distances and just be like, oh, what color cloth did this person put down today? And now they've decided that this different cloth has different meaning.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
I know, I've never heard of a magic system like that, and I really liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not wholly devoid of magic, even at the start.
Yeah.
But I like how it's incorporated into the world building. And you know what this reminds me a lot of? It reminds me of Amina al-Sarafi.
Oh, I can't remember why.
It's just not in anything, but in the sense that it is also very historical fiction at the start. And very rooted in the setting that it takes place in, which is like the Middle East. But there are fantasy elements in it. Like there are fantasy creatures in the book that like everyone knows about, and then it becomes a lot more magical at the end of the book.
Yeah.
And I have nothing else to draw upon except that book, but for some reason this book reminded me the most of that book. And I don't know what genre this is, which I guess is historical fiction fantasy. Like,
you know what also does that?
What?
Leviathan.
Oh,
right?
Oh my God, my jaw. Wow. You're so right.
You know, actually, I never really thought about it, but I actually did really like that too. Yeah, I feel like the magic system felt quite grounded. Like it felt real. Yeah. Especially with the diviners
because
too.
It was like historical fiction.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, why does it feel so real?
I'm like, of course this happened.
Because it's like an actual time period that you're drawing like real inspiration from, but also adding your own like fantasy elements to it. Yeah. But in a way that it's like feels like, oh, of course this belongs here. Like it all makes sense. It doesn't feel magical just yet for some reason.
And it's not like it's a magical system that like everyone has powers and it's like a big change. Like it's subtle enough that like it fits well. And then there's like the whole folklore and stuff like that and the legends that they have. But like it feels, the way that she like puts it in feels like subtle enough that it doesn't feel like unbelievable. You're almost like, this probably happened. Yep. Who knows?
Yeah.
Actually, I did really like and she talks about this too, like the Broceliand forest and how that's like a real place too. I'm like, Meg, I kind of want to go there.
I feel like, once again, if we lived in Europe,
we would go to Brittany. We would go there.
Our podcast would be easier to do.
Guys, does anyone sponsor us for a Europe trip?
So we can go to Brittany. I want to go to Brittany.
Yeah, I know. I actually got really intrigued by that place and I want to learn more. And yeah, like I love the whole forest setting and the castle, and like more like at the end there's like more fantastical magical areas that she goes to. I visually I really liked that. So
yeah, it really got me interested in a period of history that I wasn't really interested in before. Especially about Anne of Brittany. Like I didn't know anything about her at all.
And she has such an interesting story too, and she actually seemed like, by reading the real story about her, she seems like quite smart too, and the way that she like did it and how she like stood up for herself and everything even back then, I really liked that.
I think that is a good segue, because there's something about Anne that I really want to talk about, which is that I really like that she is shown as being quite smart and clever.
Yes.
In a way that I was reading it and I was like, oh, this author's doing such a great job at show don't tell.
Yeah.
Even though that should be like the baseline.
Yeah.
I feel like that's my one thing where I'm so tired of characters being told to me that they're smart. And to be fair, not to bash so early on into this podcast, but there is a line later on in this book or where they imply another character, they just tell me another character is smart and I don't kind of believe it. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I don't.
I'll talk about it more in the spoiler section.
I know.
So it's kind of, I was kind of like, oh, you did so good at the start of the book. Basically her whole plot with the marriage. So the issue at the start of the book is that France is about to annex Brittany. And she doesn't want to obviously get her land annexed.
Yeah, they want her to marry King Charles.
King Charles. So to get around this, they hint to Charles that there is like a unicorn in the surrounding area. And to like hunt a unicorn and to like get its horn and stuff is like shown as a symbol of like great strength. And so before they get married, they should obviously go and hunt this unicorn for like good luck and like things like that.
Yeah, and she needs to be like a pure innocent virgin basically to attract
to
the
lure
unicorn.
out the unicorn.
Yeah.
And so they trick some of Charles' people before they could marry Anne to go to this forest, and this forest is special because diviners actually can't divine into the forest. So while they're in this forest, all of this is just to trick them to go to this forest so that Anne can actually proxy marry Maximilian, who's the king of Austria, who is France's greatest rival. Yeah. And the way that this is like shown to you in the book, and Anne, like it's not explained that this is Anne's plan at the start, but it's like shown to us how she's like talking to these different factions. Like I said, in the start, it's a lot more political. But I was like, oh wow, this is so cool, because Anne's the one who comes up with this idea to like trick the diviners, trick Charles, trick like all these people from France, and then proxy marry the guy from Austria. And then, like, she doesn't know the unicorn's real.
I know, she just made that up.
So, I just think this, like, first, like, 100 pages when we were dealing with this marriage fallout thing, I thought was really cool and showing how Anne is a smart character. And this persists throughout the book. Yeah. In the decisions that she does.
And another thing that I love is how she used that so much to her advantage, that her, like, public persona was someone very, like, naive and frivolous and, like, just, like, a silly young girl, and that's how she would portray herself to like the people of France and like everyone else, but like her inner circle, everyone knew who she really was, but she really used that to her advantage, and I really liked that. And like there's even a part where I forget at what point it is, but I remember actually, but I won't say what it is, but she's talking to her siblings and she says no, because they're like, no, we'll stay with you and we do this. She's like, no, you leave. And then she's like, they know when I'm saying no in this way, they know that they have to obey me. I don't know, I just really like how she showed her power as I guess she's a duchess, right? Not a queen. Yeah. But yeah, she was so smart, and she was so young.
Yeah.
She's like what, 16?
She's aged up in this book than her actual age.
Yeah.
So I don't know actually how old she is, but she's probably 18 at least.
Because she did have like her guardian and everything, and like her council, but she definitely was calling the shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And she was like so willing to sacrifice herself and her happiness to like save her, because she's trying to save it for also because she made a promise to her father that she wouldn't marry into like France's family and like let it be taken away. So she was like, I guess this is my new plan. I guess I'm marrying the King of Austria. So
yeah, no, I think she was really cool. I think she was really cool. Yeah, and I think she was my favorite character in the book.
Yeah, for sure.
But I also really liked the side characters in this book. I think it had a lot of memorable characters. Yeah. As my favorite side character is Elspeth. She's like this little gremlin girl. She's like this commoner girl that they find because bandits like killed her family, and they find while they go to the forest. And Anne is very nice to the people of Brittany. One of the things that is shown to us is that she knows how to speak the common language, which is Breton, and so she can communicate to her when like a lot of people in her like upper inner like echelon can't. So I think it's another way to show that Anne's very like compassionate and like cares about the people of Brittany. Yeah. And she takes her in, and this girl becomes like the friend of Anne's sister, Isabel. And
Isabeau.
That's so, you're so right. I kept saying Isabel in my head, but you're right, it's Isabeau. And I just think she's so funny in this book. Yeah. Mostly because she's an outsider to like a higher like society. Yeah. And so she'll just be like biting people. And I just think that's so funny.
And she did kind of help bring in that world of the folklore and mythology, because she kind of grew up hearing about it. Yeah. So yeah, I liked that too. Yeah, and I liked her sister and her brother. Yeah, I think they had pretty good characters. I think my only thing is it did take me a while to remember. I think because a lot of them were like in French, their names. And I'm like, who are these people? Like obviously I remember the ones when they talk about like their first name, but when you start going into last names, for me, you lose me a little bit. And that's literally just, it's not the author's fault, it's my fault. But for a long time, like I couldn't discern like who he was from the guy, the the kind of general from France that came to visit them. And then there was like her guardian had like a similar last name too. And I was like, I can't. But later on I did catch on, so it's okay.
Yeah. There is a romance in this book. And I also learned reading this book, I don't think anything hits like a historical fiction romance. Yeah. I think that is my favorite. Yeah. Because I think, oh my God, because the thing you can get away with historical fiction is that they'll show like an ankle and I'll be like, oh my God, scandalous.
Yeah. And especially if it's kind of a forbidden romance.
Oh, yes. I think the setup for the romance in this book is really good. I think we could talk about it. Like the general setup.
I think it's really good because it actually took like 3 people that I thought were the romantic interests until like the actual romantic interest came in. So basically, like, I mean, first off, I was like, maybe she will fall in love with the King of Austria. So like I was like, maybe this is it. And then, or maybe it is King Charles. I don't know. So and then there was Poheim, who was the proxy. He was like in love with her, like very infatuated with her when he met her. So I'm like, wait a second, maybe it's him. Because honestly, in any of these books, whenever they describe a guy being really attractive, I'm like, okay, that's the romantic interest. So they're like, Poheim, very, very attractive guy. I'm like, okay, I was wrong. And then there's like another thing that kind of pops up, and it's like, which we'll go into more detail in the spoiler section, but I was like, oh, maybe he's the one and it's going to be like an even big forbidden romance, and then someone else pops up. I'm like, wait, is this the one?
No, but the setup is really cute.
It is really cute.
Yeah, it's like more of it is kind of like a forbidden romance kind of thing in this book, so I'm like, oh my God. Also, I really like it because Anne is, like we were talking about, her character is that she loves, like she would sacrifice herself and her body for like keeping Brittany safe and free, and she kind of has to learn to like put herself first, maybe not even first, but like even just prioritize herself at all in the story, because she's so ready to just marry herself away to the King of Austria, to get away from France, to do this and this, and just basically sacrifice her own autonomy. And I like the character arc that she goes on, which is that no, everyone in your life doesn't want you to do that. All your friends and family don't want you to do that. Don't sacrifice yourself to do this, even though like this is what your father wanted you to do, you know? Yeah. I really like Anne's arc in the story. I like how the romance fits into it.
Yeah, me too.
So we're going to talk about our activity now. So kind of in the afterword of this book, Katherine Arden talks about the unicorn tapestries, which is like a series of tapestries depicting like a unicorn hunt, which is one of the things that inspired her in this book. And I've seen these tapestries. I think they look really cool. So for this activity, we did our own like little paintings. We had a little paint night where we drew our own version of like the unicorn hunt. Yes. And it was really fun.
It was so cute. And Shannon did like an actual trying to match the tapestry. I tried to match the book cover, and boy, that's hard. Because if you guys have seen the book cover, it's so beautiful. It's actually designed by an artist that I really like that I unfortunately don't remember her name at the moment. But she did such a good job. I think the cover's so beautiful. And I was like, oh yeah, me, someone who does not paint at all. Let me try doing that. And it was very hard. But it kind of looks, if you like squint and you look from far away, it looks kind of cool.
I love like these kind of paint nights. We kind of done like one of them before, and I think it's really cute, like low stakes way to do something creative in like one night with like a bunch of people. I mean, unless you're us, and then you kind of lock in, and then you're kind of sitting in silence for a while.
We like had music playing, but otherwise we were not speaking to each other.
But no, it was fun.
Yeah.
But I like that kind of like shared group hobby kind of thing.
Yeah, me too. It was very cute. Did you know that the unicorn hunt one that you matched to is at the cloisters?
It's at the cloisters. Yeah, I did know that. Yeah, it's in the afterwards.
Wait, have you been to the?
No, I haven't been to the cloisters. I really want to see it.
Because when we went to New York like years ago together, and I really wanted to go to the cloister, but it's so far away from everything else that we just didn't put it in our itinerary. But I want to go so bad.
And Seems like we should go back.
I know. It's just let's see the unicorn. If anyone wants to sponsor us
to go to the cloisters
to see the tapestry, we are open to that.
Yes,
reach out to us. Yeah, but yeah, we could. You know what? We could have also got like ridden horses again. Katherine Arden and her books will make us
ride horses,
become horse girls.
I wish we could have. Honestly, if we hadn't just ridden horses, I would ride the horse again. I would get up on the saddle. I had so much fun. So you can ride a horse.
Yeah. Or you could visit a castle if you're in Europe. Anyways, I think that's it for the non-spoilery section. So
we're going to jump into spoilers. So yeah, like we said, this book isn't out yet. It's coming out June 2nd. I think overall, we liked it.
Yeah.
And we would recommend that you read it.
Yes.
But now we're going to jump into spoilers.
Bye. Okay, welcome to spoilers.
So I think we're going to talk more about the overall plot of the book in this section. Mm-hmm. I talked a bit about how I really enjoyed the first half of the book. Mm-hmm. And I think it is my favorite part of the book. I think it lost me more in the second half. But maybe we should talk about like the character that we didn't really talk about, which is the villain of the book, which is Julian. So how did you feel about him?
I feel very torn about my feelings for this whole book, to be honest. But I think especially with Julian, I think he was an interesting character. I like the idea of him being the one from like the old legends, like with the wives and I like how that's not how he came to us. Like he was just a stranger and he was lying, and then we like figured out that he was hiding something, and he was actually the one orchestrating this whole like crazy plan. And yeah, like I like the setup for his character. I just don't think I liked him as a villain. I thought that he needed to like go like twice as big with the things that he was doing or the way he was acting. It just like he felt like so insignificant to me for so long that like I just almost didn't feel like he was a threat. I think also because there was the big threat of France coming in, and Anne was so worried about the whole wedding thing. So like he didn't feel as big as like other stuff that was going on. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I think it does. And now
like he was just like a nuisance to me. Like he was just like a guy that was annoying and like making things more annoying. You know, it's like kidnapping kids. I'm like, stop. We have bigger fish to fry.
See, my thing is that I actually quite liked Julian. Mm-hmm. I liked when he came, and I liked his little thing where he was like, oh, you know, there's going to be fire, there's going to be water, there's going to be memory. Like and then the king of the Corrigan, which is like their fae, is going to come and marry you. Yeah. And
that's the other love interest that I thought was gonna be a thing. When they were like, oh, wedding, and I'm like, ooh, he's gonna be like a dark, sexy shadow daddy. But no.
No, but I really liked that when he was still like kind of, and then we find out that he's kind of just pretending to be meek and pretending that he doesn't actually remember his time in the Lost Lands. And I thought the moment we figured that out, I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then he goes and he helps France. He goes to Marguerite, which is like King Charles' sister, who has tried to convince Anne to marry Charles. Yeah. And he's like, I'll help you. And, you know, the kingdom's going to fall today. And then France will be able to take over. And he's making these promises to her. And then he's also making promises to Anne to save time.
I just don't get why he didn't just kidnap Anne. Like, I thought him helping France was just so, like, not needed. Like, I get what he's trying to do, like, trying to, like, make the kingdom, like, fall. Or, like, Brittany, at least. But I don't know. It's just, that's the thing. Like, even when we found out that he was the big villain or, like, he was hiding stuff, he was just this guy with Marguerite to me. I think that when it actually started getting bigger for me was when he assaulted her. And then I was like, oh, but that was so close to the end of the book. I don't know.
I don't know if this is a problem. I think this is just differing opinions, which is that I liked him more. But I think at the end of the book, he became more mad. Yeah. And that I didn't like that very much, because he became more like when he assaulted like Marguerite and when he kidnapped Isabeau. I was like, oh, so like, I don't know. You're right. You're like, why didn't you just kidnap Anne? Yeah. And
like, there was no way that was that hard. He was in their bedroom all the time. He kidnapped Elsbeth. He kidnapped Isabeau. He kidnapped Henry.
And I think because his priorities kind of changed, because the thing that was why he was helping France at the start was because he didn't know that Anne was capable of having these powers.
True, yes.
That's what changed. So when she had the blood of the sea drake in her, and then it turned out she she could control magic better than she could previously. He was like, oh, you can do all this and you're not even trained. I can train you. You should marry me. And then we should. Then he became more serious about marrying Anne. I don't think he was as serious about marrying Anne previously.
Yeah.
I think he was just like, oh, help out France, because he is loyal to France at the end of the day, because he was French.
True. And I guess he was just trying to find a wife. Like, he didn't know Anne was going to be the one.
And then he was like, oh, I want it to be Anne now. Yeah. Because, like...
True, yeah.
Because she can use magical powers now. So then his priorities shifted. But when his priorities shifted to actually trying to marry Anne and pursue Anne, he became more, like, crazy mad in a way that I kind of dislike, because he became less, like... His plans made less sense. Yeah. He was like, all right, just going to kidnap the child. Kidnap the child. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's why the child's there. He became kind of less interesting to me. Yeah. And then you're right in the sense that he gets... The end of this book operates that Isabel gets kidnapped. Anne and Louis go to save her. They defeat Julian. So he ends up dying. I like the way that he dies. I think it's interesting. Yeah. But then they still have the whole issue with France. They haven't solved the France issue. So then they have to do this whole little side quest in the I don't even want to say side quest. It is the main quest. But like in the last like 30 pages, it's like, okay, now go do this other quest quickly.
Big quest.
To like save France. Or no, to save Brittany from France. And I think the reason they did it in this order is because they open the France plot first at the start of the book. So you end the book with the France plot. And then you introduce the Corrigan plot in like the middle of the book, and then it's closed kind of in the middle of the book. But then it kind of gives the aura that Julian wasn't as big of a threat as France's, which I guess is true, but I wish the two plots were interwoven in this fact that they were solved kind of more closely, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, exactly. That's another thing that made him feel less of the big bad. Maybe he wasn't supposed to be, but I feel like he should have been. Like, I do think that, the France problem should have been dealt first.
I think the France problem is the big bad. Yeah. But the problem is Charles isn't the big bad.
Exactly.
France is.
Not even Marguerite is that bad. No. It's just like the situation.
It's the situation, which is that France is about to annex Brittany. Yeah. And it's like you don't have one person. I guess the one person is Charles, but he's like a non-character. No. He just represents France. Yeah. And Julian is a character. So that's why it feels like he's the big bad, but he's not. It's France. Yeah. So I think that's why this book is structured like it. But there is some issue in how these two different adversaries are in the order in which they're handled, in my opinion. Yeah.
And like I personally... One of my favorite parts was the ending. And this, like, I love this sort of stuff. It reminded me of the Hazelwood.
Oh, the Hazelwood. I knew you would say this.
Didn't you think that? Because there's the whole plot outside of it, and then suddenly they go into the forest, and there's all this, like, magical thing, and she's, like, going to the castle, and there's, like, all these different rooms, and she's kind of, like, stuck in this almost fairy tale, like,
No, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
But I thought that should have... I loved her going into the kingdom and the people being stuck there for centuries. Like, and you can see, like, the flowers are rotting, but they're all, like, still kind of acting happy. But, like, deep down, they, like, know that something is wrong. I thought that was so clever. And I did like that the queen, I guess, and there was, like, just a young girl just like her. And... I really liked that whole thing, but I thought that it was so quick and short. Like, literally, it's funny because when I was halfway through the book, I was like, this should be the first in a series. Because we hadn't explored any of that stuff that they had alluded to so much, like the Caris thing and everything in the Never Was. Is that what
the Castle of Never Was?
The Castle of Never Was and all that. So it was taking so long. And literally, it was... like the last 50 pages, I almost want to say that was...
It was.
Right?
It was because I read the last 50 pages earlier today.
And that's what you read.
So that is what I read, yeah.
Yeah, and like I was approaching that and I was like, I feel like we need another book to explore this whole other world. And
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I that's why I'm like, I wish the order of operations was different. Yeah. I wish we had gone on this exploration to like go to the castle, go to the city, and Julian wasn't defeated yet. Like he was still a threat. Yeah. And then we could finish the book with like defeating Julian, but you've also risen the city, so then you can like solve the France crisis kind of at the same time.
Yes.
And then it doesn't feel like we've ended the book. Oh, we're doing another thing, and we're gonna end the book again.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. What'd you think about Anne's powers?
I thought Anne's powers were interesting. I kind of wish, I don't know. I think like the powers themselves are interesting, but I just think once Anne got them, that all her problems were solved with magic more than her smarts. Like the thing I liked about the Curious plotline and the way it ended was that she had to like convince the people to follow her instead of like their old queen. And like, to be honest, like their own queen was like a tyrant. So like, I don't want to say it was that hard.
No, it wasn't.
But she at least had to do some like charisma check to like convince the people to follow her. Whereas like Isabeau gets kidnapped multiple times in the book, and she's like, all right, just gonna teleport, grab her, teleport, and leave. And I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting the way that she like grappled with it, because all the times where she's like, oh, my head hurts, like it's like it obviously physically cost her to use the magic, so there was a cost to it.
Yeah.
But
and I did like the once she got the blood of the, what was the thing called?
Sea Drake.
The Sea Drake. The first time. That was literally killing her. And she had to be
that was
saved by the
really
unicorn.
cool.
And I did like how at the end she was like, oh, she needs the blood of the unicorn. She was like, wait, that means I will have to die. And that's kind of how she was like, wait, I have to choose myself. I don't actually have to die. I don't have to sacrifice myself to solve this problem. So I did like that. But yeah, I feel like the in-between, she had a lot of, it shouldn't have been that easy for her to continue using those powers.
I think so. Mm-hmm. I think if you could maybe make an argument, like she was never going to actually marry Julian.
Yeah.
But if it was much harder for her to grapple her power, you could do a thing where like she even thinks about marrying him just to save Brittany. Yeah. Just to be like, okay, so I can actually learn to do this and like save Brittany and save my family. And she's never going to actually do it. But even just like making it just a little bit more difficult for her to use it could make her think that. Yeah. And then like Julian could be more of a threat. Where it's like an actual possibility that she might actually end up marrying him. I do want to talk about Louis briefly. Yes. Because I talked about him in the... I love the setup that he's sent, because he's a prisoner of France. And he's sent to go... convince Anne to marry Charles, but then it turns out that they like know each other, and he used to like be a part of like her like inner circle, and I'm like, oh my god. And
she's had like a crush on him.
Yeah.
And when he comes back, he's like, oh, she's so pretty.
And then like during the Sea Drake scene where he's like carrying her and stuff, I'm like, oh my god. Anyway, I just thought Louis d'Orleans was really hot.
I know.
I thought he was really good.
I know. And when they were like kissing stuff, and she's like, wait, I can't do anything more because of the unicorn, and also because she couldn't like compromise herself for like before she was married and everything. She was like already proxy married to Maximilian.
Yeah.
But he was like, we can do other stuff. I'm like, oh yes, you can.
God. Anyway, that's what I'm saying about historical romances, because it's like, no, we can't. But unless.
I really liked him too. Yeah, and it's funny. I truly did not see him coming. Like, and then he showed up, and also at first I know that he is older than her, because when she was a child, he was already like captain of the guard or whatever, like a trusted person of her father. But I think he's just like probably 10 years older than her or something. Which is like, you can't just like have to look past that. But yeah, when he came in, I actually, because they didn't specify right away, or maybe they didn't catch it, like how old he was. I just thought he was an old man.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So then when she was like, oh, I have a crush, I'm like, oh, wait, rewind. I did really I liked how he would just like put her first. Like at first he was like grappling with the thing about like, oh, actually I'm here to like get her to marry Charles, but then he's like, fuck that, actually.
Yeah, and then he like actually does so much to like help her. Yeah. And like basically become like he basically like assaults the King of France. So he's like wanted by like the French.
Yeah, and then they go together. And yeah, and then when he's at one point he's like, if you go back to that land, like you have to take me with you.
Yeah.
And then they go together and they get together. It's so cute. And then she like leaves him to go to the kingdom. She's like, wait, I shouldn't have left him. He should have just come with me.
Yeah, no, I really wish he was there at the end.
Yeah.
I wish he was there all the time. I liked him so much.
I know. I actually really like how he was written and their chemistry and their just friendship too, and how much she trusted him with like everything. Like he was such a good guy because even when she's like, oh, my sister, like I need to find my sister, he'd be like, I'm going to go find your sister. Like he was very caring and I really liked him. He's probably my favorite part of the book.
That makes sense. Parts. Yeah. No, I like him a lot too.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just someone that if I'm reading a historical novel, like I do need a romance. Like I need something to like carry me through. Like not that I dislike the book if it didn't have it, but that's something that I really like in a book. And I feel like in Bear the Nightingale, we didn't really have a romance. No. So, which fair because she was like fairly young. I mean, not that young, but yeah. I think also something else, like you were talking about how much you like historical novels, it's like this and like medieval and stuff. I also really like them, but I've been reading so many historical novels recently, like at the end of last year and the beginning of this year. Like I had to pause. I was reading Jane Eyre, if you guys remember, to read this. But I had read like the Bridgerton book, and I had read the Starving Saints, and later last year I read the Everlasting. And there was so much, and I was like,
very close together.
Yeah, I was like, I actually need like a palate cleanser. Like I need a break from. So it did take me, and also because I was reading this on my trip in Chile, I would read like a tiny bit every day. Not even every day, but like, and then the only time I actually got to read quite a bit was on my plane right back, and that's when I started getting more into it. But yeah, it was a bit of a slog for me at the beginning, and I don't necessarily think it was so much the book's fault, more like me and where I was, which happens a lot in this freaking podcast. I'm sorry, guys. I'm always either like too tired and not focusing.
She's a busy working girl.
I'm a busy girl. But another thing that we didn't really talk about that much, but I felt that this book, as much as I did like it, I felt like there were so many repetitive scenes.
That's right.
And it was just like so much like, and now this person getting kidnapped, and then this person, and now Anne is like having a talk with her people, and now Anne's doing this, and now like she has to like jump through the lighting thing, and then Julian's now talking again to Marguerite, and I was like, I don't know. It just felt like a lot of the same
it's
thing.
kind of why I wish, I agree with you, where it's like, I wish her journey to the city of Curious was like expanded.
Because it would have varied a bit.
It would have varied, a lot more of what was happening, because a lot of this book was people, I think it is people scheming.
Yes.
Against like other factions and stuff, and like I said, especially the start, first half is very political, and then like Isabeau gets kidnapped like twice, and then Elspeth gets kidnapped once.
Her brother Henry gets kidnapped,
and then it's like, okay, so there's a lot of people talking and planning and stuff, and like only really in the last like 50 pages is Anne like actually going and like going on like a quest.
Yeah, I would say like after the tournament thing, kind of like. Yeah.
So, and I kind of get it. I get why it's like this, but I agree with you that especially with the amount of times Isabeau got kidnapped, it was pretty repetitive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how I feel about how much the POV changed, and it wasn't even like a chapter by chapter thing. It would just be like it would be like a little chapter break, and then it would switch, and it literally could have been anyone. Like every character in this book had a POV, I feel like.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know if we need this. I don't know. But I guess it's just a different style that maybe I'm not super used to. But yeah, so I feel like I can't really tell yet if I really dislike it or if I was just like, I don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet, if that makes sense. So obviously a lot of things happen in this book, but I feel like these are our thoughts for the most part.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of like other little details I wouldn't super dive into, but then that's for you to find out and read. I mean, I guess if you're in the spoiler section now, hopefully you have read it already, but yeah. And so our next episode is actually going to be about The Deal by Elle Kennedy.
Oh, very different.
From the Off-Campus. Yeah, that's my palate cleanser coming up, guys. From the Off-Campus series. It's recently become quite popular because of the new TV show that just came out on Amazon Prime. So Yeah, it's gonna read a little sport, bringing it back to our first episode, Deep End.
Sports romance.
Sports romance. We're back, baby.
I'm really excited. Let you know if the book is worth picking up if you've seen the show. And if you have read The Unicorn Hunters by Katherine Arden, let us know. Are you going to be picking this up on June 2nd? Let us know. You can leave a comment on Spotify. You can leave a comment on YouTube. You can rate us 5 stars. You can send us an email at betweenthebookspod@gmail.com. And we will see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.